Alright, and up next we have EI doing an exhibition of Super Metroid Arcade, another ROM hack of the Super Metroid series. So when you're ready, take it away, EI.
Alright, so also known as the King of Kraid, as you see up top, Super Metroid Arcade is a slightly different sort of Metroid randomizer, and how it's different will probably become immediately apparent. So we'll get started by going to the right, which seems counterintuitive to most people, but it was open. The path was there. And we went to the right, and hey, this doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? So Super Metroid Arcade is an exit randomizer, which means that basically every time you exit the room, you're going to be transported to some completely different room that has the same logical exit direction, which of course can lead you to some pretty ridiculous and difficult situations that I'm certain we'll find ourselves in quickly. But it does always set you up so that the room is completable, theoretically. In practice, we'll see about that. So, the number one rule in Super Metroid Arcade is do not mess around with the aquatic life. And the number two rules, no, seriously, do not mess around with the aquatic life. All of the damage that basically any aquatic enemy does is tuned to you having the gravity suit. So, it's tuned such that it can be divided by 4 and still be significant. I have no suit right now, so taking 4x damage will lead to a lot of enemies just outright one-shotting me, which is exciting, to say the least. Crabs in particular, or I think they're skeizers or something like that, crabs, do 120 damage with no suit, which is pretty blatantly entirely too much for me to survive right now. So, crab life, do not touch the crab life. Just don't. It's going to end very badly. Which of course makes this particular room really scary. So, the general idea behind Super Metroid Arcade is it's a I guess, sort of arcadified version of the game, with the fact that the doors lock behind you, so you're basically forced to attempt a room to at least some extent. There's little hidden secret bonuses, like that little secret point that I found there that was worth some score, which right now doesn't matter, but in something I'm going to show off a little later, it will. And as you continue to go through rooms, the difficulty of the game gradually ramps up. So if you look in the upper right corner, there's the 026 and 015 now. 026 is the record number of rooms that's been done on the cartridge, which basically that was just from some test runs. And 15 is the current number of rooms for this run. And as that number gets higher, enemies will gradually do more damage, and they will also gradually get faster. So I'm currently on normal difficulty, and so the cutoffs for that are every 50 rooms, the enemies get a 50% additive damage bonus. So 150% at 50 rooms, 200% at 100 rooms, etc. And then every 80 rooms, they'll notch 1 speed faster, which isn't really a well-defined thing, but a few notches of speed, and you can definitely tell that the enemies are really booking it around Zetus. So, the other thing that's worth noting is if there's a room with a major item in it, so basically anything that's that shows up in the equipment screen, or your first tank of any ammo, it will force you to grab that prior to letting you leave the room. Here we have our good buddy, the Bomb Chorizo. I'm sure we're going to see this guy more than a few times over the course of the next hour and a half-ish. The bombs, of course, are generally a pretty necessary thing to get around most of Zebes, so it will generally give these to you pretty early. And, whew, alright. We're right onto one of the rooms from the escape, and a particularly obnoxious one at that. The escape space pirates are particularly durable, so you often have to resort to trickery to deal with them. Oh, hey, I was going too fast and I clipped through that guy. That's fun. Yeah, we'll go this way. So the general idea is you're gonna just keep on advancing through whatever room the game gives you, and you're gonna keep on trying to survive. The enemies are gonna gradually get more powerful, and eventually bosses will get thrown into the mix too. And this is typically where the game gets particularly spicy, because if, say, Phantoon shows up, there's a pretty good chance he's gonna go ahead and ruin your day. Because usually when Phantoon shows up, you've got maybe an energy tank worth of energy. The other thing worth noting, and you've probably noticed that from that missile pickup I just got, is the amount of ammo you get and the amount of energy you get for an E-tank is reduced. So it's 50 energy per E-tank, and 2 missiles and 1 super, and I think 2 power bombs per respective tank. Also in a kind of weird physics state right now, where it kind of thinks I'm still in water physics, and you can tell by Samus's sort of weirdly slow somersaulting, and the kind of sluggish response for any sort of movement. It usually resolves itself after a room or two, but it can definitely trip you up if you're not aware that that exists. Oh, jeez. Okay, that's fine. So you are probably going to see several deaths over the course of this exhibition time, because Super Metroid Arcade is pretty difficult. You will probably be suitless for a large majority of the time, and that lack of defense ends up being a significant problem. On the other hand, at least some of the rooms have been modified to either make them easier or open up new potential exits. So, for example, this room wouldn't be possible unless you had the wave beam normally, but they took the gate out so that you could pass through it at any time without it being an issue. The other thing worth noting is, on normal mode, it can and will give you superheated rooms without the Varia suit. Whereas on easy, it will refrain from doing that, and this can actually cause some interesting issues where you're missing the speed booster, because the speed booster's in a superheated room, and there are some rooms that can end up paradoxically being harder on easy, because normally you'd end up getting the speed booster and you can just kind of, you know, dash right through it, dash right through the enemies, and it's no problem. But without the speed booster, for potentially a significant chunk of time, you can end up kind of being SOL. So I'm going out of my way in this room to make sure I kill all of the enemies, because, as mentioned, this game has little in-game achievements that are worth points. So if you kill every enemy in this particular room, you get Cleanser, which is worth a significant score bonus. And granted, like I said, the score doesn't really matter right now, but eventually we're going to be playing a mode called Time Attack, and getting points in Time Attack mode will give you time extensions, and is basically required to keep the game going. So it's a good habit to get into claiming what points you can. And also hunting across all of the rooms for all those little secret bonus point zones. The other thing, as you can see, is it can and sometimes will give you rooms you've been to already. And if it's got a major item like the charge beam in this particular room, obviously it won't be there because there's no real point to getting it twice. But all of the other pickups like missiles or E-tanks or, you know, the tanks, I guess, will respawn. And so you can end up getting a nice little collection of additional power-ups if you get lucky and get rooms that have them. Oh dear. Okay. I think I'm probably gonna need to take high jump off here. The other thing that is definitely necessary is getting used to what is happening there. That's some physics. The thing you will definitely need to get used to is doing a lot of things suitless, because in general, Meridia just kind of happens a lot. So sometimes you get into kind of annoying situations like this, where you gotta clear these guys out of here. I believe it's speed booster blocks down below, although maybe they modified that. I guess I never thought to check. Yeah. Well, don't I feel silly now? Ah! It got me anyway. Oh, that's rude. So I guess I do need to coax that last roly-poly guy off the top ledge so I can pass through safely and without much obnoxiousness. But you will become very acquainted with the water physics in Super Metroid if you play Metroid Arcade, because it will absolutely come up. It's unavoidable. There's a bunch of missiles in this room, but they're all annoying to get, so I'm just gonna keep moving on. Alright, so we got the bowling alley. Actually, I think the spikes are disabled with the power off, but I don't want to risk it. Spikes are going to do a lot of damage to me right now. The one noteworthy thing, speaking of spikes, about the damage scaling is it does not apply to environmental hazards. So heated rooms will still drain your health at the same rate, spikes will still do the same amount of damage, and that can sometimes make jumping into the spikes preferable to having to take a hit from some other enemy that ends up being more powerful. Can end up being a judgment call as to what's the better plan of action. Oh, I don't have power bombs right now, so I can't get anything beyond that missile. No, more missiles is still hard to argue with. So here we have the space jump, and space jump is one of 4 special items in Super Metroid Arcade. If you look in the upper right corner, the space jump icon lit up and now has... Oh, hi Bomb Torizo, again. Space jump icon has lit up, and you'll see that little mini gauge next to it start to decrease over time. So the gravity suit, the plasma beam, the screw attack, and the space jump are all items that you only get for a few minutes when you claim them. You do not get to keep those permanently because they're too powerful. And that can sometimes lead to some fun times when you get the gravity suit and you basically want to tear through as many rooms as you can while you still have it, because you won't have it for very long. You will only be free of the water physics for a short period of time. The other thing, too, of course, is if you have, say, the space jump or the gravity suit, the rooms that the game will give you will change to account for your new temporary hardware. And of course, I'm sure you're thinking, well, what would happen if I were to end up in a room where, say, the space jump was required, and then it runs out? But fortunately, they thought of that, and the items that are temporary will last through the end of your current room if the timer expires while you're in it. So you'll still have the ability to keep trying a particular room without it taking away your critical item to get past it from you. So we've hit 50. So at this point, enemies now do 150% damage, which doesn't seem too bad right now, but it puts a lot of aquatic life basically right back into instant kill territory. Taking into account the even the E-tanks again. So basically anytime you're in Meridia, you're in serious danger. The other thing worth noting is a few rooms, such as this one, also have some respawning enemies. And there's a few spots where there's like a respawning cactac, and there's a few spots with respawning fish, so that you can use it as a ledge for getting up here, or in the case of the cactacs, to have super missiles that you can use to get through either blocks or gates. So they generally tried to keep it fair in that everything is meant to be always possible, but due to the nature of how everything works here, it might be possible, but it is oftentimes extremely difficult and would only be actually possible for somebody who's a very skilled speedrunner. I'm not a very skilled speedrunner, I'm an adequate speedrunner, at best. So I got an achievement for Pitless in the old Mother Brain room. That one can be... Ooh, that was actually very scary. Oh, this is still very scary. Anytime quicksand happens, it can be a real miserable time, especially in this room where you can end up basically getting chain hit by the spikes and end up dying. So the momentum that carried me forward there ended up being problematic, but we got through it. More E-tanks, I'll take that. Got some nice run-up here, so we'll get another fun achievement. YOLO! I think that was actually a double YOLO. Ooh, I totally didn't realize how much damage those were gonna do. But the extra E-tank is welcome. So at this point, that puts us at 2 full E-tanks of health, which means I think I'm out of range of getting one-shot by things, no matter what they are, at least for now. But who knows how long that'll last. So here we have another escape room, which means we're also dealing with the durable pirates. Slightly better armed this time, which helps. I didn't mean to jump into that guy. There's a no damage achievement for this room that I was trying to go for, but now that I've taken damage, I guess there's no real point in continuing to persist that way. The other thing you may notice in the background is some different music. So, Super Metroid Arcade includes a few original music tracks that can be chosen as one of the random tracks when it changes music periodically. And each one is associated with an area, so this is associated with Meridia. And how this works is every 16 rooms, it will determine what the music is for the next 16. Oh, jeez. Lava is also scary. This is a good room to remember that the Yapping Maws are in fact killable with super missiles, because that can end up really making this a lot easier to deal with. Alternately, of course, you can just freeze them, depending on taste and what you've got available to you. A large part of playing Super Metroid Arcade basically boils down to, can you react to the room that you're given with the equipment you have fast enough to not die to it, essentially. Ooh, jeez. That's some damage. All right. Let's just drop that power bomb and clear those out. Actually, nah, I don't want to deal with waiting for this guy to dig. So we'll get Scrap Tool instead, which is when you kill Shack Tool and don't let him do his job of digging through the dirt. Evidently the most important thing that could be doing at this time. In the meantime, 71 rooms means that we are starting to get a little bit close to the first speed notch increase for normal. And one speed notch doesn't make a huge difference, but you'll still probably be able to notice. Oh, in the meantime, we have this weird thing that showed up that I don't know if anyone ever has seen before in Super Metroid. I don't know what this thing is. It's swirling around. It's weird. Who let this thing in here, anyway? Fortunately, Spore Spawn here is going to basically be a nice energy recharge for me. Which is good, because running into that giant side hopper ended up really taking a lot out. The other thing you'll notice, now that I'm in what is ostensibly a boss fight, is there's a nice little boss health gauge that was brought in as well, which is very helpful and also kind of lends to the sort of arcadey feel of the ROM hack. And of course, I'm sure the question that now goes through your mind if you're an experienced player of Super Metroid is, well, but what happens when you get over 7 E-tanks? And the answer is, it changes color to indicate that you've got 2 tanks in the same spot. So they thought ahead on that one, which is good. It's not so cruel as to limit you to just 7, thankfully. So in the meantime, Various Suit is both really nice in that it gives me 50% defense, and really terrifying in that it enables lower Norfair. Because in general, you won't see lower Norfair unless you have a large number of E-tanks. However, this run is probably going to come to an end, because this is, well, Mother Brain. The game does not end when you defeat Mother Brain, though that would be pretty fun. Instead, this is, it's just going to be another boss fight. But the problem is that boss fight includes Mother Brain 2, which, is difficult, to say the least. So, the one nice thing is it does provide ample recharge stations for you, and taking it slow and steady is the best way to win the race here, because even just getting to Mother Brain is no joke. Once again, the damage scaling is expecting you to have the gravity suit right now. So the Cheerios that are normally just kind of shrugged off are now a fairly significant problem even with Varia. And of course the lava or acid or whatever you want to call it is a problem. And Mother Brain herself is able to do some frightening damage with all of her usual fast food related attacks. So this is probably going to get out of hand very quickly, but we'll see if we can fight through it. I wasn't expecting Mother Brain to be the first boss that showed up, so that's somewhat unusual, I suppose. The other thing worth noting is, due to all of the recharges, you can basically assume that once you have started going for it, you definitely don't want to be out of supers until you've actually started the fight. Because I think once the camera... Oh, really? Come on, don't run into me while I'm recharging, that's rude. Oh, no. Okay, we're gonna go for it anyway. It's gonna go poorly, most likely, but... I'm pretty sure it's supposed to ensure you have enough ammo, so that's weird to me that didn't proc the fight. So I wonder if one of my missiles missed or something, or if you're intended to break the glass first and then re-go back in there. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, so that's fun. Oh, I guess the health gauge is still low, so I suppose they made it so that you can... They made it so that you can always just keep going back and refilling, probably. But I'm gonna try and refill on the supers, because any extra damage I can get against Mother Brain 2 is going to be welcome. And I only have Spazer right now, so I'll need all the help I can get. I hit the, Okay. We're on to the real fight. This is where it's going to get scary, I'm sure. So for those keeping track, the ketchup beam, the most feared of Mother Brain's arsenal, normally does a full E-tank of damage with the gravity suit. And no damage scaling, you know, just the normal game. So if we do the math, the ketchup beam would be doing 2 E-tanks of damage, except that we have the damage scaling of 150%. So the ketchup beam right now is in fact a one-hit kill. Also, all of the other attacks will probably ruin me in very short order as well. So this is thoroughly frightening. So I think Mother Brain is causing just enough lag to throw off my timing on these charge shots. Thanks, jerk. All right, there's some ketchup. All right. Whew, that is the Mother Brain fight down. I wasn't expecting to get past that, so that's that was a scary fight, but we're through it and we're continuing on. So as you can see, it just basically behaves like a normal boss at that point, gives you some power-ups and lets you continue on your way. And okay. Oh, you have to charge attack these. Okay. Interesting. Anyway, moving on. Somehow got through that unscathed, which was, whew. And we're back to business as usual for a while. Varia Suit thankfully making rooms like this a lot less scary. When I saw Torian again, I was really worried, but then I remembered that it won't give you a boss for, I think, 50 rooms after you kill one, so I'm safe from Mother Brain for now. However, I'm not safe from any of the other bosses that could show up and ruin my day. And there's a particular jerk who lives in Norfair that I would very much like to not see right now, because that will go extremely badly. So the good news right now is, because I have the Varia Suit and I haven't hit 100 rooms, enemies are actually doing less than their base damage right now, which is incredible. And I hope that that continues for a while, but I strongly suspect it won't. Spiky Death Room thankfully does not live up to its... Hi, Fantoon. Spiky Death Room thankfully does not live up to its name while the power's out, but after killing Fantoon, just like in the main game, the power will be returned to the wrecked ship, and a lot of rooms will get a lot more dangerous. So, this run is already getting a touch on the spicy side, just as it is. So I'm sure we're gonna be in for a good time, right up until Ridley shows up, and then I die to him. But hey, you know, you can't help what you can't help. You are not really under control of what things you fight. You're kind of at the mercy of the RNG. So, keeps you on your toes, for certain. Alright, come on, show up. Got a little bit of Doppler there, so that was good. This will still probably be a 5 cycle, because I'm bad at Fantoon. Never really bothered to learn the proper fight for him, but we'll get through it. It'll be fine. I have enough defense that I'm not particularly worried about this fight. Which is unusual, because usually when I fight Fantoon, it's with half an E-tank, no suit, and like 2 missiles. Which makes the fight have a much different character to it than what we're seeing right now. So, Fantoon down, we are free to move about the cabin, or the wrecked ship, as it were. And by that, I mean, I'm sure we'll have more rooms pop up, but who knows where we're going to turn up after we leave Fantoon's lair. But I will take all of this delicious energy and missiles. We'll pop up back in Crateria. That's fine. There went Pitless, unfortunately, but It's not a huge deal, it's just some points. I am going to get these extra missiles, though, because extra firepower is always good. There's a big point secret right up there. So if you get this room in time attack mode, that can be a huge boon and get you a lot of progress towards your next time extension. So after this run, I will probably go and show off some time attack mode, and then we'll, after that, we'll bump up the difficulty a bit, and we'll see just how unfair Super Metroid Arcade can really get. And spoilers, that figure is very unfair. This is an unfortunate room. Okay, that's fine. Can work around that. I meant to freeze this guy a little more like that. Making the climb up here can be harrowing because of all the crumble blocks. And yes, I see that missile, and no, I'm not getting it. You can't make me. Oh, this room, okay. This is fine. Gives me another super, which is hard to argue with. For a second, I thought it was the Criterion Shaft room, which would have let me show off a cool, another cool hidden achievement, but, well, it's not really that cool, but it's worth a good amount of points, and it's easy to do. So, with one notch of speed, you can probably already see that this guy is moving at a slightly faster clip than normal. With a few notches of speed, everything starts going very, very quickly. I got myself a Franker Z, nice. There are a few minor graphical edits to things. If you were paying attention, you'd also notice that our good buddy Fantoon was firing out Kappa flames rather than just the ordinary flames, because he certainly earned his position of being a horrible troll boss in Metroid Arcade. Because he usually likes to show up when you have very little in the way of equipment and ruin your run. So anyway, the Three Musketeers are scary, and I don't want to deal with them. So we're going to deal with them from down here. Pretty sure they would do 2 E-tanks of damage to me right now, or somewhere thereabouts. Possibly more than that, because of the damage scaling. I don't want to find out. I'm not going to find out. Most of the recharge rooms have a little secret behind them. It's worth just a few points, but it's usually worth remembering if you're doing time attack mode. And welcome to Room 100. Enemies are now doing double damage, which means, of course, that they are basically right back to normal damage with the advent of the Varia suit. So, enemy frightening level-wise, we're basically right back to neutral, but that's only going to keep getting scarier as we move on here. I can't fathom why I'm going down that way. There's another missile, but I'm just gonna keep advancing. Whoop. Remember, do not mess around with the aquatic life, especially the crabs. Ended up getting mocked right after all. I thought it had somehow spared its life by just magically dodging the YOLO spark, but managed to swing back around anyway. Water physics are still not the best, in case anyone was wondering. Grapple makes that at least... I'm not going to say reasonable, but it at least makes it not terrible. Oh my. Alright. I was going to try and go for it, but it didn't quite work out. Hi, Gold Torizo. How are you doing, buddy? So, the name of the game here is, can I get into the magic sweet spot before he kills me? And the answer is, yes, barely. Fortunately, once you're in the sweet spot, the Golden Torizo basically can't do anything to you. Because apparently, due to questionable hitbox design, they forgot to give his foot a hitbox, I guess. But all of his attacks end up sailing right past you. Which basically reduces the fight to, can you aim up and hold and let go of Y a few times? Which thankfully means that we will live to fight another day. But Golden Torizo, definitely a bit of a scare here. In the meantime, we'll stop the suit from singing the song of its people. And we'll at least claim a super for our efforts. So, we'll continue through our adventures through non-Euclidean Zebes. We're starting to get to the point where, depending on when or if Ridley shows up, we could have a problem, but otherwise we might be doing okay for a little while. And with the gravity suit, we might be doing okay for a long little while. And by a long little while, I mean, you know, solid 4 or 5 minutes or so. The gravity suit is really nice here, though, because it brings me down to enemies doing half damage again. And also makes water physics, thankfully, not a thing for at least this gloriously brief, or this brief but glorious period of time. And just in time for rooms with water to appear in droves here. This is another room with a cleanser bonus, and it's an especially satisfying one when you consider how obnoxious the crabs can be and how many runs they can ruin over time. Plus, they give some decent energy, which is good because I was a little low at the time. So we're topped off on energy. We got some extra points. We got the gravity suit. Things are going all right here. Even crab life cannot stop me for now. That's not quite what I meant to do, but it's fine. Wow, that was, I think, of the Nola room transition. Those are sufficiently rare as to be kind of novel, honestly. Whatever. We'll just go down to this room instead. And Terminator Room gives us a third visible E-Tank, which I will absolutely not argue against. The other thing is, we now have the screw attack. So we are doing pretty good on equipment right now, at least while those two temporary pieces of equipment last, which unfortunately will not be forever. I don't think it'll give you this room without the gravity suit, thankfully, because it's problematic to say the least without it. And, oh, speaking of problematic, look who showed up to ruin my run. What a jerk. Gonna be some... It's gonna take an inspired fight to finish this. I think Ridley is in fact going to ruin the run. Oh, his tail! Alright, so that was a pretty good run. 123 rooms is a decent amount. So when you finish a run, it'll pop up this screen that gives you basically a code that you can submit to a website, and there's an online leaderboard set up for this, which is really cool. And, yeah, so exploring the menu options here, there's 4 levels of difficulty. So easy, it's 80 rooms per damage increase and 120 rooms per speed increase, I believe. Normal is 50 and 80. Hard, I want to say, is 30, 50. And then arcade, the hardest and like just most obscene difficulty of them all, is 10 and 10. And we're gonna take a look at that now. So the damage scaling is going to get basically to the point where anything will one-shot you after 20 rooms or so, probably, because you will not be finding enough E-tanks or suits or other equipment to be able to keep up with this. On the other hand, all point values are increased on arcade mode, so if you're looking for a high score, arcade mode is the way to go. And due to how the... I don't know why I'm having trouble with this all of a sudden. Due to how the mechanics work for time attack mode, arcade time attack mode can be significantly easier than normal time attack mode just because you'll get a lot more time extensions. And in normal, you are much more likely to run out of time than you are to die. And in arcade, you are much more likely to die before running out of time, just due to how many more time extensions you get. You'll note that I'm getting 500 points for a lot of just common enemy kills. And given that the time attack time extension is 10k, it's easy to see how that can add up pretty quick. So this room here is a little obnoxious if you aren't well equipped. Especially because if you don't yet have power bombs, it will make you go to the other side of the room to get them before it lets you leave. And given all of the lava or acid or whatever you want to call it, and the spikes and powerful enemies and just all sorts of general tomfoolery, there's a lot going on there that can go wrong very quickly. So we are already at the first damage increase and the first speed increase now at 10 rooms. So we are officially in a state of mild panic. And it's only going to get more exciting from here. I think I'm gonna top off the energy here. That's probably a sound idea. Just in case it lets me survive a single hit from something. Oh, well, hello, old friend. How are you doing? Fortunately, if you have a super missile and some normal missiles, the bomb Chorizo is absolutely no threat at all. Not even close to a threat. Even with damage scaling, the bomb Chorizo should not ever be a threat. A lot of other things, on the other hand, will start getting pretty scary in only a little bit here. The room after this one, we are already going to be at at Shine Spark City. We are going to be at double damage and 2 notches worth of speed. So if we look at this guy over here, he's already starting to move at a pretty good clip, and it's only going to get faster from here. Fortunately, it's seeing fit to at least give me some beams, which means that I might be able to freeze something before it runs into me. Get away. Get away, crab. I do not want that. That crab would, I believe, one-shot me twice over now. So it would half-shot me, I guess. The other exciting thing we're going to start running into right about now is enemies are going to start being able to go fast enough that they can actually not quite... The wall-clinging enemies can sometimes go fast enough to no longer cling to the walls when expected. Whew, okay, that was a lot scary. 28 rooms, so an easy room there means that the next room we are going to be dealing with 2.5 times damage and 3 notches of speed, which means everything is going to start basically moving terrifyingly fast. And these even supposedly stationary enemies are no longer stationary because they've gotten 3 notches of speed. And they'll probably also kill me in 1 hit now, too, just like everything else. So, ooh, yeah, there we go. We're starting to see Very excited everything. All of the enemies have now had at least, 5 cups of coffee, and they're probably looking at the coffee machine going, can I have another 3 more, please and thank you. Do I have Morph Ball? I do have Morph Ball, okay. Take a little bit of a risk there to get that super missile. So if I fell onto that crab, it would have all been over. As it stands, there's crabs in this room, and I'm very scared. Please help. Caffeinated crabs, no less. That crab's going so fast that it got itself stuck. I will put it out of its misery, I suppose. But basically everything is now terrifying. This is arcade mode in a nutshell. It is for the truly good. Anyone who would be able to defeat Mother Brain in their sleep might stand a chance at arcade mode for a long period of time. I am sufficiently frightened that I do not want to mess around with any of this crab life. Crab life taken care of. We're on to the next room. We're at 34 rooms, 35 rooms. We are halfway to yet another damage increase and yet another speed increase on all of these enemies. So it's going to get exceedingly scary at this point. That crab is especially excited to see me. I am not especially excited to see it. I'm going to continue to very much not mess around with crab life. As previously discussed, crab life does a frightening amount of damage to begin with, but the heavily modified, heavily souped up crab life is significantly worse than that even. These side hoppers are probably also scary. I don't want to know how much damage they do. I'm not going to find out if I can help it. Also, we are once again water physics mode, which is not the best, but we'll work around it. Honestly, we are already at the point where I would consider this a very good arcade difficulty run. Oh, jeez! That is a spicy amount of damage. It's not a one-shot, but it came really close. And of course, now that I'm about to get the charge beam, because it will not let me leave this room until I have it, bosses are now officially on the table, which means that Phantoon could pop up right now, this room transition, and completely ruin my day. And when I saw the wrecked ship tile set loading in, I thought that that was about to happen. So, 40, 4 notches of speed, 3 times damage. Even the fireflies can do damage that is, noticeable. These space pirates will do damage that is more than noticeable. But for, in all likelihood, the remainder of the arcade difficulty run we've got going here, at least Plasma Beam is on the table. So I've got that going for me, which is nice. Unfortunately, I'm going to end up wasting solid chunk of that time just dealing with getting out of the room, because you have to kill all of the space pirates to be able to leave, and then you have to make that kind of tricky wall jump that I made earlier, and made again. All right, we're out. We're free. We made it. Woo! Even the Criterion crawler life is scary now. I do believe, in addition to the multipliers, a lot of the weaker enemies get a additional damage scaling bonus, just to make sure that they're also extra spicy when you hit this point. But in the meantime, we can do this. And that's worth 5,000 points, so that's pretty cool. Oh, hello, friend! Oh, I have a really extra special gift for you, buddy. It is satisfying to be able to defeat what would normally be an obnoxious slow fight in a single hit.
Hi, Sportspawn. Bye, Sportspawn.
Oh, crap! Oh, jeez! Whoa! Whoa, buddy! You need to calm down. Calm down, friend. That was not okay. That was extremely not okay. Here we see the speed up really starting to take effect. I'm not entirely... really? So this is probably the end of the run, because I think those flames do enough damage to one-shot me. And Fantoon came forward to ruin the run after all. Oh man, what a jerk. Also, hi, Mr. Bond. How are you? I'm having my first run got ruined by Ridley. This run got ruined by Fantoon.
So next run will be ruined by Kraid?
I hope not. That would be embarrassing. So next I want to show off time attack mode, because we have about half an hour left in the exhibition. So I'm going to do a normal time attack and an arcade time attack, and we'll see what the clock looks like at that point. So in time attack mode, I will point your attention to the upper left corner where there's that 3-minute timer on the screen now. Once I leave this first room, that timer will start and keep running for anything except for boss and mini-boss fights. And every 10,000 points, I'll get a time extension. And it is very important to keep that timer as healthy as I can, especially in normal mode, where it is much more difficult to get enough points to obtain the time extensions. It really becomes scrounging points from things like the secrets and getting no damage on bosses and things of that nature. Fortunately, the Bomb Chorizo has a couple of easy setups to ensure a high likelihood of a no damage fight. The one blip on the radar can be in that last phase of damage when he goes headless and basically just runs back and forth, swinging wildly. Because if you don't kill him right away, he'll basically just run right into you. But in time attack, naturally, the name of the game is Go Fast. Samus channeling her inner Sanic. But while you're going fast, if you want to get those time extensions to be able to survive, you'd best make sure that you are picking up all the secret points and other achievement points you can along the way. because as that game wears on, that timer is going to keep on looming, and if that hits 0, Samus instantly dies. It's all over right at that moment. So of course, in a situation like that, what room should I get but this one? With these very durable, fire-breathing seahorse things. Dragons, I guess? I don't know what they're supposed to be. They're a non-issue now, though. They've been dispatched. And I get a 1,000-point bonus for the secret on the other end of the room for my efforts. And hopefully that'll be enough. In the meantime, though, we have crabs. I don't want to deal with those. Those will ruin my day real quick. So I'm getting pretty close to a time extension. I should get it in the next room or two. Actually, I will get it immediately upon this room transition, because room transitions are also worth some points depending on your difficulty. So that plus 70 indicates that time extension. I'm back up to 2.5 minutes. So we're doing okay again, but that timer's gonna keep on ticking down, so I've got to keep on the move here. There's no time to recharge on enemies. There's only time to charge forward as fast as possible. This room I'd want to charge forward as fast as possible anyway, because that superheated aspect would very quickly cause problems with my lack of Varia suit. The speed booster is a nice find because it does give me some options for additional point gain, which I will probably need. I'm also going to claim a secret point in the pool there. And unfortunately, I can't take advantage of the speed booster in this room, but I will be able to in this room. So I'm gonna actually go back a bit on this. Because I'm gonna charge up a Shine Spark and Shine Spark horizontally through the door, which gives me a YOLO bonus. And that's another 500 points, I believe, which is enough to hopefully get close to another time extension before that timer runs out. We're at 1.5 minutes left. So there's not much time to go. Ooh, that was a scary dodge through the fish. That was a lot riskier than I should have been doing here.
We have a $50 donation from Saxon. No comment, but thank you very much. We also have a $20 donation from Darkmaster Fleck. Great showcase, EI. Super Metroid Arcade is a really cool hack. Great job with the marathon, everyone. Much love. Thank you, Fleck.
Thank you for the donations. Yeah, I do recommend anyone that has at least put some time into learning like the speedrun tech of Super Metroid to at least give Metroid Arcade a try. I will say that you do need to at least be proficient at wall jumping, bomb jumping, and at least be willing to fight through the Meridia water physics, because all of those feature pretty prominently. But if you are capable of all of those things, it's a lot of fun, and it can really keep you on your toes, as you've already probably seen a few times. YOLO! So they added one of the little frog jumpy guys there, because you have to basically power bomb to get through the area. I think it might be a normal bomb block, maybe, but you have to power bomb to get up here, so And also, it's much easier to just drop the power bomb up there anyway. Hey, rude. Get out of there. Alright, whatever. We're continuing on. We got a minute 16. There's no time to stop and smell the roses here. We gotta get moving. Another easy opportunity for a YOLO. YOLO actually getting me through that room very cleanly, which is good. Because that room would have been kind of slow otherwise, so it was a well-timed YOLO. And is also just being extraordinarily nice with the E-tanks, which makes me a little bit worried, if I'm to be honest. Also, it may not matter because that timer is getting a little low. 44 seconds left. It's not very much time to work with. Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna have to go this way. Because the other way would have been way too slow. Spazer's nice. The extra 500 points for the secret bonus is even better. We are, I think, going to just barely make the next time extension, but it's going to be a real close call. Actually, no, this room is the perfect timing for this. There's a secret bonus in this room worth 3,000 points, and that is enough to get me back up to a minute and a half. But that timer is ever the enemy here. A minute 24 to get 8,800 points. 8,750, I guess. So no time to worry about taking damage. The clock is my much more scary foe right now. And I have to beeline to the bottom of the room to get that charge beam, or else I won't be able to get out of here. So I really have to motor. It occurs to me I forgot the 2,000 point secret, but it's probably going to take too much time to get now, so we just gotta keep advancing. Keep on getting those secret points. Hopefully it'll be enough. And in the meantime, we've hit 50 rooms, so now, in addition to being worried about my time state of affairs, there's now also the 1.5x damage that is now becoming a factor as well. So this is gonna be a little scary for the next 26 in-game seconds. This is an unfortunate room, because it's going to take a little bit of time to get out of there. I have 14 seconds to get 6,000 points. I think my only hope here is if this turns out to be a boss of some kind. And it's not. It is a kind of difficult room that requires the space jump. We are gonna run out of time here, folks. That is it. Oh no, Samus's life support on her suit just ran out, I think, because that thing just exploded on us. So we'll also do an arcade run of Time Attack, a very different experience, because the timer is much less of a factor when everything gives so many points, but arcade mode being what it is, that health gauge now becomes a much bigger worry. So let's take a look at this, and we'll see how kind the game is here. The speed booster right away is an interesting option. Crabs are also an interesting option. A scary option at that. It is giving me all kinds of good equipment early, though. high jump, speed booster, and wave beam as basically the opening set of items, and ice too. It's really just laying the buffet out for me, which is worrying because I think that means that it's gonna end up doing something exceptionally rude shortly to make up for the earlier kindness. So I had to do a little trick called a ledge grab there. It's basically if you aim down, Samus's hitbox changes slightly, and that allows you to kind of hop up on a ledge that you wouldn't be able to normally. And if you combine that with a crouch jump, which gives you a little bit of extra height, you can end up being able to make some extra jumps. And I think the game's logic assumes that you know how to do this. So the other thing worth noting is you'll note that I only got 40 seconds back this time. And that seems like it's a huge difference, but in the end, it's actually still more generous with the time here than it would be if you were playing on normal, because it's very easy to get time extensions here. So even if they're only worth 40 apiece, you can end up getting several of them pretty quickly. And the other thing is, some of the secret bonuses, in addition to the enemy bonuses, get increased points. So you can end up racking up a pretty high score. And this is actually a case where the points matter. It's excellent. It's what everyone wanted. And then we have this room, which is not what everyone wanted. But the durable space pirates are worth a ton of points. And with the speed booster, I'll be able to shine spark through at least a few of the ones on the bottom here. And that's good for a time extension. So, an annoying room, but a lucrative one that really is going to help out here. Problem, of course, is, again, not the time here. The problem instead is the fact that enemies are already doing 1.5x damage, and that number is only going to increase from here. In the meantime, we have our favorite friend again. Hello, friend. How are you? It might be a pixel too far back there. Yep. You have to be, I think it's like a 1 pixel, it's not pixel perfect, I think there's like 1 pixel of slop in one of the directions, and I think I was 1 pixel off in the wrong direction to make that work, unfortunately. That was actually a little risky. I wasn't sure if I was going to kill him in time. I did, it worked out, but that was not the soundest decision I've ever made. Anyway, we are 17 rooms in. We still basically have a full timer here. 2.5 minutes is still plenty of time to work with. But 99 energy when things are about to be doing double damage is a little less so in terms of things to work with. And in fact, things are going to probably get pretty scary pretty quickly. Like you saw in the previous arcade mode run, or arcade difficulty run, it's all too easy for the arcade difficulty to get just a little out of control. Oops, that's not the horizontal shine spark I wanted. Oh well. 20 rooms, double damage, 2 notches of speed on all the enemies. Bunch of rooms that are very easy to go through quickly, which is just going to make that even scarier, even more quickly. It's got a huge boost of rooms there. We're already at 25. Very fast. I'm just gonna get out of this room because the water physics are no fun. Nobody wants that. And And then we've got everyone's favorite crab room, with crabs falling off the ceiling because they're going too fast. This room can get really scary if the crabs start getting caffeinated, which they are now, so it's a little worrying. This room, too, can get pretty scary if you've got high-energy crab reactions. I mean, the crabs are already, from the beginning, in one-shot territory. And that's only gotten worse with the number of rooms we've passed through. And their scary speed, whew! Ooh, boy! It's a little risky, but I need to get that secret, and I need to get those extra points. A couple of slow rooms, meaning time, is now starting to become a factor here, too. Which is not what we need. These crabs seem to be stuck in a loop, though, so that helps, and that cleanser bonus got me another time extension, so we are back up to a minute 41. We're doing all right, but we're not doing great. Because 30 rooms have now passed, and the enemies are an additional notch more angry at me. This fish here is utterly terrifying, and I do not want it anywhere near me. Somehow those space pirates seem to be jumping across the screen even slower than usual, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I'll take it, I guess. It's fine. Because we can, I'm gonna go through the baby Metroid attack room instead, because why not? Let me get this nice lucrative 3,000 point secret again. Keep that timer flowing. Still a minute and a half left. We're still doing okay here. And all of the molecules are worth 500 points apiece, so they are actually worth spending the time to fire a few shots at them and take them out. Especially because they're moving slowly but menacingly at me. I don't want that. Get that out of here. And now we've got a very scary and dangerous room here. With 0 E-tanks and no suit. There is a high probability that things can go wrong in this room. We need to be very careful not to bomb out those bottom 2 blocks. So as you can see, that lava or acid or whatever you want to call it drains away health alarmingly quickly. We are now in suit singing the song of its people territory. And this room is also very slow, which doesn't help matters any. And then we're back in this room, but this might actually be a good thing, because those crabs will get me healed back up, and we've got a chance for some extra points here to replenish that alarmingly low timer now. Timer actually starting to become our enemy. Happened even on arcade mode, which is remarkable. Because normally you die long before the timer becomes a factor in arcade mode. Or arcade difficulty, I suppose. That crab is stuck again. How'd that happen? Let's stop that from being a thing. So the extra time got me just under a minute, so we were doing alright again. We're not doing great. We're gonna see if we can push this just a little bit further here with the the time and energy we've got left. 40 seconds left on the clock. Crabs in a room. Always a bit of a fright here. And crabs that are a little quick now, too. These aren't your ordinary crabs, these are turbo crabs. And I think this room is going to end up being it here, because there is not only a dangerous room, but a very lengthy room, and we just don't have the time to get all the way through it, unfortunately. So 42 rooms is where this run is going to stand, I think. But that's still a very good run. 86,000 points and 42 rooms is a pretty good way to go on that. So, Mr. Bond, what do you think? Should I do one more, or should we start setting up for the next?
No, I think you got time for one more.
All right, let's. What do you think? What difficulty? What mode? Probably shouldn't do normal non-time attack. So we either want to do arcade normal or arcade time attack or normal time attack, probably. But
I'd probably go arcade time attack.
Arcade time attack.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes.
Send it off with a bang.
Left or right?
Left, please.
Left. And left got some missiles, so that's an alright start. And left then right got this phaser, which is even better. We've got some actual offense already. Got another instance of it just giving all kinds of good stuff right away, which just always makes me exceedingly worried that it's going to end up being really rude later on. And lo and behold, we've got a tricky room here. The enemies, of course, are not the problem. The problem is instead that water line flowing up and down. You have to make a tricky run and jump and wall jump off that wall, just like that. That one can end up being a problem if you can't get that wall jump consistently, and that one can sometimes be a problem for me, so I'm glad I got that on the first try. Losing a run because you end up failing a wall jump trick repeatedly is never a good time. Also, as always, the aquatic life is still scary. Don't want to mess with it. Oh, just ran right into him. That's not how you're supposed to do that, I'm pretty sure. So, smooth, for those who are wondering, because I don't think I have mentioned it yet, is when you make it from the top of that little ledge onto the little statue, the face statue by the morph ball, without hitting the ground in between. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. I do what's called a down back, which is where in the air you hold down back. It's a pretty sensible name for the technique, I suppose. And basically that'll let you move forward while also... There's something about how you move forward. I think it's the hitbox is reduced because you're aiming down that ends up making it work well. But you can either use the down back method, or there's some wall jump trickery you can do to make it work as well. But I find the down back to be more consistent, so that's what I go with. Something I always found interesting about that room is the water doesn't appear until there's power in the wrecked ship, which seems odd to me, but we can go with it. Once again, time-wise, we're doing quite fine. Enemy fright factor-wise, we are doing very not fine, because we are already in a state where a lot of enemies will do a scary amount of damage very quickly.
Got a $25 donation from the Wild family. Congrats to Tormod and Saxon to many happy years and fun times.
And we say hello once again to our very special friend, the Bomb Chorizo, here for the last time of the exhibition. Fortunately, I have some good beam weaponry, so he doesn't really stand a chance. I could have also opted to shoot one super missile and 2 normal missiles into him. Either way would have worked fine. In the meantime, at least for a brief moment here, I think we were above 3 minutes, so we ended up, at least for a fleeting few seconds, we have more time than we started with. Didn't last very long, of course, but it's still worth what it's worth, I suppose. Wait, there it is. Okay, I was gonna say there's supposed to be a secret in there somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Ah, nice. All right. This reserve tank means that I'm guaranteed to be able to survive at least one hit. And I'm only going to get one of the missile tanks there in the effort of attempting to save at least some time for later. Though 30 rooms in, I'm now entirely convinced that the problem will not be time on this run. It will probably, once again, be the damage factor, although the way the last run ended, I guess I can't count out the timer ending up being my ultimate foe in the end. But another 40 seconds on the clock. We are right back where we started, basically. Nearly 3 minutes left. So, at least for now, the timer not seeming like as much of a factor as the fact that with the charge beam, any sort of boss could come forward and just ruin my day. Haven't seen Dragon yet, so I suppose that's the thing that we can try and tempt fate with. No, it's just Fantoon, here to ruin my day once again. Well, hello, friend. Thanks for arriving. Thanks for giving what is the more typical Super Metroid arcade experience of Fantoon shows up and your run is ruined. This is not technically over, but I don't really trust my chances here. What an appropriate way to end the exhibition is Fantoon crashing the party. So that's Super Metroid Arcade. It's a really fun little ROM hack for Super Metroid enthusiasts. Hopefully you enjoyed.
All right, thank you, EI. Next up, we have an any percent warpless run of Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island by Count Gooby. It'll take us a couple minutes to get set up for that. One moment, please.